Experience gives us many things: wrinkles, stories, a healthy dose of skepticism. But what if it also fine-tunes something else? An antenna for danger, a sense that has learned to recognize the subtle dissonances in the music of life, the notes that just sound wrong to a trained ear. In our culture, obsessed with youth and novelty, how often do we pause to listen to the quiet wisdom of our elders? The records I'm opening today are about that very wisdom. They explore how the most crucial warnings can come not from a supernatural source, but from the quiet voice of a grandfather or the sudden vision of a grandmother. These are the accounts of two families, saved not by a dramatic miracle, but by an act of faith in their loved ones. We will hear the story of a young man about to accept his dream job offer, who was stopped by nothing more than a shiver and the stubbornness of his grandfather. And then, the story of a mother who received an urgent phone call from her own mother, describing an imminent danger that was happening in real time inside her own home. Is it just the overcautiousness of old age? Or is it possible that a lifetime of experience creates a type of intuition that borders on premonition? What you are about to hear, in their own words, might just convince you to pick up the phone the next time your grandparents call. Story 1. The Shiver. My name is Alex. I'm 23. Last year, I graduated with a degree in marketing, a mountain of student debt, and the burning, desperate ambition to finally start my life. For 6 months, I sent out hundreds of resumes, got a handful of soul-crushing rejections, and was starting to think my future consisted of being the most overqualified barista in Chicago. Then, I got the email. It was from a company called Innovest Financial, a fintech startup. Young, exciting, disruptive. They'd seen my portfolio online and wanted to interview me. The interview process was a blur. 2 video calls, and then a final in-person meeting in their slick downtown office. Glass walls, free kombucha on tap, people my age laughing and typing on brand new MacBooks. It was everything I'd dreamed of. The CEO, a charismatic guy in his 30s named Mark, interviewed me himself. He talked about changing the world, about empowering small businesses. He offered me a position as a junior marketing associate with a salary that was almost double what my dad made after 30 years at the post office. It wasn't a job offer. It was a winning lottery ticket. I floated home. I called my parents, my friends, my girlfriend. Everyone was ecstatic. We decided to celebrate at my parents' house that Sunday for our traditional family dinner. This was it. The moment I could finally tell my family, especially my grandpa, that I had made it. My grandfather, Arthur, is 78. He's a retired mechanic, a man of few words, strong hands, and a deep-seated belief that anything that seems too good to be true probably is. He's the anchor of our family, quiet and steady. I respect him more than anyone in the world, but in my mind he was from a different era, an era of pensions and union jobs, not stock options and disruptive tech. At dinner, I was the star. I told them all about the office, the salary, the mission. My parents were beaming. Then, I pulled out my phone to show them the offer letter they'd emailed me. "Look at this, Grandpa," I said, beaming with pride, holding the phone out to him. Arthur took the phone. He put on his reading glasses and squinted at the screen. I expected a smile, a proud nod. Instead, I saw a strange thing happen. As his eyes scanned the logo and the name, Innovest Financial, a shiver ran through his entire body. It was a violent, visible shudder, as if someone had poured ice water down his back. He suddenly rubbed his arms, his face tightening. "You're cold, Dad?" my mom asked. "I can turn up the heat." "No," he said, his voice low and gravelly. He handed the phone back to me, his eyes never leaving mine. "I don't like it, Alex." The celebratory mood in the room evaporated. "What do you mean you don't like it?" I asked, the excitement in my voice turning defensive. "You haven't even heard what they do." "I don't need to," he said, his gaze unwavering. "That name, the way it looks, gives me a bad feeling, a cold feeling, like looking at a perfectly shiny apple and knowing, just knowing, there's a worm inside." A tense silence fell over the table. My dad tried to laugh it off. "Oh, come on, Dad. It's a great opportunity for the kid. Don't be so cynical." "I'm not cynical," Arthur said quietly. "I'm old. There's a difference." I was hurt and angry. "Grandpa, with all due respect, this isn't the 1970s. This is a tech company. It's the future. You can't just get a bad feeling about a PDF." The argument got a little heated. I felt like he was dismissing my success, my world. The dinner ended on a sour note. I went home feeling a mix of triumph and frustration. The next day, Arthur called me. "Alex," he said, his voice calm, "I'm not telling you what to do. You're a man. You make your own choices. But that feeling I got, I haven't had a feeling like that since I was talked into buying that guaranteed racehorse back in '82. The one that turned out to be lame. There's something wrong there, son. Please, just be careful." His stubborn, quiet insistence started to get to me. It planted a tiny, infuriating seed of doubt. The offer expired on Wednesday. I had 24 hours to sign. That night, I couldn't sleep. His words echoed in my head. A shiny apple with a worm inside. It was ridiculous. It was the irrational fear of an old man who didn't understand the new world. But what if? Just to prove him wrong, to put my own mind at ease, I decided to do one last round of research. I'd already scoured their website, their press, releases, their LinkedIn profiles. This time, I went deeper. I went to the anonymous, ugly corners of the internet. Obscure message boards for financial industry workers, Reddit threads about startup scams. I typed "Innovest financial scam" into the search bar, feeling stupid. The first few pages were nothing, glowing, paid-for articles. But then I found it. A single post on a tiny forum from 6 months ago. The title was "Warning about Innovest." An anonymous user described being hired, the amazing salary, the charismatic CEO. And then he described the job. It wasn't marketing, it was a boiler room. Their only job was to cold call elderly people and pressure them into investing their retirement savings into a fund that didn't exist. They were taught to exploit trust, to target the vulnerable. The user said he quit after a week, horrified, but that he was too scared to go to the authorities. That single post was a breadcrumb. I followed it. I spent the next 5 hours digging, cross-referencing names, looking for other complaints. And the picture that emerged was horrifying. Innovest wasn't a startup. It was a sophisticated pyramid scheme. They hired bright-eyed, ambitious graduates like me, used our enthusiasm and our personal networks to fleece our families and friends. And then, after a few months, the company would fold. The founders would vanish with the money, and the junior employees would be left to face the legal and financial fallout. The dream job was a trap. It was designed to chew me up and spit me out, leaving me with a ruined reputation and potential criminal charges before my career had even begun. The next morning, I called Mr. Klein. "I'm writing to inform you that I am declining your offer," I said, my voice cold as ice, "and I suggest you find a good lawyer." The silence on the other end was followed by a click. I was saved. But the story has a coda, a partial victory that still haunts me. My best friend from college, Chris, had also gotten an offer from Innovest. I called him immediately, told him everything I'd found, but he didn't believe me. He said I was crazy, that I was listening to my conspiracy theorist grandfather. He said I was just jealous. He took the job. 3 months later, the company collapsed, just as the forum post described. Chris lost all of his own savings and convinced his parents to invest and lose theirs. He's now facing a lawsuit and hasn't spoken to me since. I was saved, but I couldn't save him. So I ask you, when someone older, someone with a lifetime of experience, tells you they have a bad feeling, do you dismiss it as old-fashioned cynicism? Or do you listen? That shiver, that inexplicable arrepio. Maybe it's not just a feeling. Maybe it's a warning, distilled from a lifetime of learning to spot the worm inside the shiny apple. Arthur's warning was a shield, a vague, physical feeling born of a lifetime of experience, which protected his grandson from a complex modern deception. It required Alex, the grandson, to trust that feeling and do the hard work of investigation to find the truth. But what happens when the warning is the opposite? What if it's not a vague feeling, but a crystal clear, terrifyingly specific image? And what if the danger isn't a future possibility, but a mundane, domestic accident, unfolding in real time, hundreds of miles away? The next account I recorded shows that these voices of experience don't just warn us about the threats we're heading towards. Sometimes they call out to stop the dangers that are already unfolding right beside us. Story 2, The Falling Pot. My name is Sarah. I'm a mother to a rambunctious 3-year-old named Sam, and I work from home as a graphic designer. My life is a constant, chaotic juggling act. Picture this. I'm on a crucial Zoom call with a new client, trying to sound professional and competent, while my son is in the living room, a tornado of toys and boundless energy. I'm half listening to my client, half listening for the sound of crashing furniture. It's the soundtrack of modern parenthood, I guess. My own mother, Mary, lives in Florida, 1,000 miles away. She's a wonderful grandmother, but she's also a world champion warrior. She calls at least twice a day, convinced that Sam is on the verge of some imminent peril. I love her dearly, but sometimes her constant anxiety feels like another ball I have to keep in the air. This particular Tuesday was one of those days. My deadline was looming, the client was being difficult, and Sam had decided that his new favorite game was, let's see how many cushions we can pull off the sofa. I was in the kitchen, my laptop on the counter, trying to project an aura of calm professionalism while gesturing wildly for Sam to be quiet. My phone buzzed. It was my mom. I let out an internal groan. Not now. I declined the call. A second. Later, it rang again and again. On the third ring, I knew she wouldn't stop. Worried the ringing would disrupt my client call, I excused myself. "One moment, Mr. Henderson. I apologize," I said into my headset, putting the call on mute. I answered my phone with a sharp, impatient whisper. "Mom, I'm in the middle of a really important meeting. Can I please call you back in an hour?" The voice on the other end was not her usual, cheerful, just checking in tone. It was breathless, thin, and laced with a kind of panic I had never heard from her before. "Sarah, where is Sam? You have to check on Sam. Right now." A wave of irritation washed over me. "Mom, he's fine. He's right here in the living room. I can see him. He's playing with his blocks. What's wrong? Did you have another one of your dreams?" She had a habit of calling me about bad dreams, where a seagull stole Sam's sandwich or something equally absurd. "No, not a dream," she insisted, her voice cracking. "I was just sitting here reading my book, and I saw it. I saw it right in front of my eyes, clear as day. I saw Sam. He was by the big bookshelf in your living room, and he was pulling on the cord for the tall floor lamp, the black one. I saw the lamp tipping over, Sarah, and I saw that heavy pot you keep on the top shelf, the blue ceramic one. I saw it fall, right where he was standing." Her description was so specific, so detailed, that it sent a tiny, cold flicker of unease through my annoyance. But my rational mind immediately took over. "Mom, that's crazy. He's not even near the lamp. He's on the other side of the room. It was just a weird thought. Please, I really have to get back to this call." I was already turning my attention back to my laptop screen. My client was waiting. "Sarah, listen to me!" Her scream was so sharp, so full of pure terror, that it cut through all my defenses. "Go check, please, for me. Just go look." The raw panic in her voice was undeniable. It was more than just her usual worrying. This was different. With a heavy sigh of exasperation, I kept my client on mute and walked from the kitchen towards the living room, the phone still pressed to my ear, ready to describe the perfectly safe scene to her and end this ridiculous interruption. "Okay, Mom, I'm walking to the living room right now," I said, my voice dripping with condescension. "And I am telling you, Sam is perfectly fine. He is playing with his blocks, nowhere near the—" I stopped. My words died in my throat. My blood ran cold. In the 30 seconds I'd been on the phone with my mother, my toddler had gotten bored of his blocks. He had toddled over to the exact spot from her vision. He was standing right next to the bookshelf, his little 3-year-old hands wrapped tightly around the black electrical cord of the tall, heavy floor lamp. He was using it, just as she'd said, to try and pull himself up, his face scrunched in concentration. The lamp was already wobbling, leaning at a dangerous angle, and on the top shelf, directly above his head, sat the heavy, blue ceramic pot my husband had brought back from a trip to Mexico. The scene was so exactly as she had described it. It felt like I had walked into her nightmare. For a split second, I was paralyzed, my brain unable to process the sheer impossibility of it. Then adrenaline took over. I dropped the phone. I didn't scream his name. I just lunged. I covered the distance across the living room in 2 steps and scooped him up into my arms, pulling him backwards, just as the lamp, losing its balance completely, tipped over. It fell with a sickening crash, hitting the edge of the coffee table. The impact sent the heavy blue pot on the top shelf flying. It landed and shattered into 100 sharp pieces on the exact spot on the hardwood floor where my son had been standing a mere heartbeat before. I stood there, in the sudden, shocking silence, clutching Sam to my chest, my heart hammering so hard I thought it would break my ribs. He was crying, startled by the noise. I was just staring at the shattered blue porcelain, at the deadly shards glittering on the floor where my son's head would have been. I could still hear my mother's frantic voice coming from my phone, which lay abandoned on the floor. Sarah, what was that noise? Is he okay?" I picked up the phone, my whole body trembling. "He's okay, Mom," I whispered, my voice choked with tears. "He's okay. You were right. I don't know what I believe in. I don't know if it was God or energy, or just the fact that a mother's love for her grandchild is a force so strong it can ignore 1,000 miles of distance to send a warning. I can't explain it, but I also can't deny it. My annoyance, my logic, my certainty that I knew better. It almost cost me everything. Her crazy vision, her irrational panic, is the only reason my son is safe right now. So I ask you, especially if you have parents or grandparents who worry too much, the next time they call you with a strange feeling, a bad dream, a warning that makes no logical sense, please don't just dismiss it. Pause for a moment, listen, and just go check. It might be the most important thing you do all day. A shiver and a vision, one a premonition of human malice, the other of the fragility of a single, accidental moment. Two stories from two different grandparents with a common result. Salvation, through a wisdom that only a full lifetime can build. Arthur's warning to his grandson Alex was a physical feeling, a raw instinct against deception. Mary's to her daughter Sarah was a clear image, a flash of domestic danger. What this shows us is that experience doesn't give us just one kind of warning. It gives us an arsenal. It teaches us how to smell a lie and how to see the danger in a perfectly normal scene. But as I investigated the lives of Arthur and Mary, trying to understand the source of this clarity, I discovered a tragic symmetry in their pasts, an echo that gave a new, heartbreaking meaning to their premonitions. In conversations with their families, I learned that both Arthur and Mary carried the weight of a personal tragedy from their youth. As a young man, Arthur lost his family's savings in an investment scheme eerily similar to the one his grandson almost fell for, and he admitted in old letters that he'd had a bad feeling, but ignored it for fear of looking timid. Mary, meanwhile, had lost a younger sister in a trivial household accident, an accident that, in later interviews, she admitted she felt was going to happen that morning, but said nothing for fear of looking foolish. Their premonitions were not a gift that appeared in old age. They were scars, psychic scars from a trauma that made them subconsciously vow to never again ignore that inner voice. Their wisdom didn't just come from living, but from surviving a mistake. Perhaps the clearest warnings don't come from the future. Perhaps they are just the echoes of our deepest regrets, shouted loud enough for a new generation to hear.